Okay, so some square prism of base of 30 millimeters and 70 millimeters as this is completely penetrated by another prism of 25 millimeters size and 70 millimeters as this horizontally. Both axes intersect and bisect each other. Two faces of the penetrating prism are inclined 30 degrees to HP. You want to draw projections showing the curves of intersection. Okay, so we can draw in the okay, so we go for polygon. We want to use the edge method. If we draw that in, of course, you may want to rotate it by 45 degrees. I can use a rectangle to represent the front view, but I have to track the edges of the base. And that height there should be 70. So I'd go for polygon, then switch the layer to maybe layer 0. And I'll just draw the side view of the penetrating prism. Make sure you've clicked on the edge method. The side is 25. The angle, of course, should be 45. Or the angle should be 30 and not 45. The angle should be 30. Because two sides are inclined 30 degrees to the horizontal. So that angle there should be 30. Very important information. Switch the layer to center line and draw a center line like that. Now I want to move that, but make sure you get the midpoint snap, and then you can position that there. Okay. And then let me put that in place. Those are just horizontal and vertical, construction lines. So I'll track those points to draw my front view of the penetrating solid. It's best I switch to visible layer like 0. So I'd go for line. And then track those points. I want to start at the midpoint. Ortho mode is required here. And that distance there should be 35, which is half of 70. And I can go down, track that point as well. And then I want to track that point to that corner, which is very important. Now this point though that I'm tracking currently will be hidden. So I'm using the hidden layer. Now let's select all of these newly drawn lines, which forms part of the front view, and mirror them to get the other side. Just like that. We switch the layer to maybe layer the red one, and then draw a 45-degree line to serve as my mitral line. And then I want to track those points so that I can draw the front view of the standing solid. I can draw the side view of the standing solid. Project those upwards. So we switch to layer 0, get line, and I want to track those points. So from there, of course, to that point, and then track the bottom. Okay, and that should be the side view of the standing solid or the cylinder. Now, definitely, I would have to move the prism to make sure that it's in the middle or the midpoint of the cylinder. So I'll use tracking techniques to get the midpoint of the prism and select that point. Okay, so that is easier. Let's move it outside. And now we want to move it again. We want to move it by the midpoint. So we click that and then we go and track the midpoint of the cylinder. It's easier this way. Then I click to position it. Okay, so that's where it should be. Okay, so those are from the midpoints. So that helps to complete the drawing of the side view. Then maybe we switch to AMCL, get line, and then track that because I'm going to use those points to draw the top view of the penetrating prism, as you must have anticipated. Of course, that's the correct point to track and use. And our center line goes through them. And because the drawing is skewed, it's only It's important that we project those points as well. They are going to show us hidden features on the top view. Of course, if it weren't skewed, those lines will not be required, or those points will not be required, but because they are skewed, because those points are rather visible, we can represent that portion with visible lines. And now I can break those points or break those lines on that point, then select that and break it. Okay, it should be hidden and not center. So I'm gonna break that center line as well, and then convert the broken part rather to hidden. Then I'm gonna bring that line to other location. Then do the same for those parts. For the vertical line too, I'll do same. Okay, so those parts should be hidden. Okay, so that's what we're expecting. Then those little parts. should be heading to. Okay, so our orthographic projections are almost ready. So we are getting ready to, draw the curves of intersection. So I'll go for M test. Click and click. Height of 4, I'll change that to 2. And then I want to label that part as A prime. Oh, sorry, A prime prime. And I'll copy that. And then position one there. So you position the labels as have been indicated. So we make some modifications. We call that B prime prime. That should be C, D, E, and F. So I want to copy those. Then label these parts as well. We'll call that A prime. We'll call that 1. I want to polar array them to get the rest. So obviously I want 4. Then I don't want to rotate those. Let's move that back a little bit. And then we select them in this order. Or maybe we may have to move that back a little bit. And that one as well. So 1 and then maybe 2, 3 and 4. So we use T count, select order. Then we want to overwrite. Okay, so I'm ready to track those points to form my curves of intersection. Let me rather use the yellow layer. So I'll track A prime prime, which is the first point. Okay, so that goes through that center line. It hits the intersecting part, which is this location here. Then I track that point up until it meets with the projection of A prime prime onto the front view, which is exactly that point. Then I can type in PO for point. Or let's first do P type and then select, the P type we want, and then PO. So that is point A prime. So I'll just copy that and then, bring that here because I just want to label that point. And that should be A prime. And then we can track point B. Point B goes through that. So point B is located somewhere there. Let's copy. So I'll select that and change the height by a bit, maybe 2. So point C now go through 3. Now let me draw from C. Okay, so that intersection should be the correct point. Let's go for D. Maybe we would project that horizontally first. Okay, and then we can project it, downwards and to our left. It hits at that point, and then we project it upwards. And that's our point D, coinciding with the side of the horizontal prism. So I'll copy that label. So we expected point C to have gone through the right generator of the standing solid. So we didn't get that. Now what we have to do is we need to move the front view to the left just a little bit so that they can coincide with the right point. So you see that point 3 on the top view should coincide with the right generator of the cylinder. Or another, so you see that that center line should go through that vertex at 4, but it doesn't. So to resolve that, we need to move all of the front view by a little bit to the side, to the left. So we can move that until it meets up with the projection line. I only want to move it horizontally. So just like that. And we are able to do this because we are working in AutoCAD. Then I have to move the point a little bit to that intersection point. And then move point D as well. Then I have to move A and B a little bit like that. And then if we were to track point E, that will go through that point. And then E and E should be there. So I'll put a point there, and that's E prime. and then point F. So F will go through 3. It goes through C, and then I need to track F from that point. So that's point F. So now I can connect the point. So that is the front curve of intersection. And then now I switch to a heading line. So D to E, back to A, sorry, to F. So D, E, and F, that is the back portion of the curve of intersection. Because it's skewed, the curve of intersection on the front and on the back will not be the same. So D to E to F and then back to A. So I'll thicken it a little bit. And then I'll copy the both of them and mirror them to the other side along with their labels. Let's go to quick select, and then I want to select the lines MI for mirror, and that's my center line. Now I've put in the labels, so make sure you also do that. And then the angle here is 30 degrees. I've also put in that. Okay, and this is the required solution. A little bit complex, but you go over it once or twice and you would understand it.